we continue our Mountain State Science series focusing on scientists, science educators, and research in West Virginia. Tonight we meet Dr. Earl Scime, a physicist and chair of the WVU Physics Department. As Beneduccio reports, Scime's world includes plasmas, thermonuclear reactions, and a 150-pound robot named Marvin.
He's the Eberly Distinguished Professor of Physics at West Virginia University. But once a week, Dr. Earl Scime can be found hanging with a pack of inquisitive, inspired students. They're members of Mountaineer Area Robotics, M.A.R.S for short, and Scime is co-founder of the team.
So about 7 years ago, a couple of us here in physics started a middle school robotics team for just a handful of kids. As those kids got older and moved into high school, they wanted to have a high school robotics team, and there's a national program for high school robotics. So in 2008, January of 2008, we started Mountaineer Area Robotics for those kids and a number of other kids, and the program has grown since then.
Nearly 40 high school students in Monongalia, Marion, and Preston counties make up the team this year. They compete in robotics competitions with schools all over the country. They've traveled to Pittsburgh, Atlanta, and cities in North and South Carolina for competitions.
Well, each year the game is different for the high school competition. The national organization, FIRST, which stands for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology, produces a game plan. And the game is announced in early January, and it's very much geared to be like a sporting event. And it's very exciting, very high energy. And the robots we've built over the last 3 years, one had to grab a big 4-foot diameter ball and run it around a course like a NASCAR course. This year, the 2010 game was soccer in honor of the World Cup. So the robots had to kick soccer balls and score goals and play defense and play offense.
This is Marvin 3, M.A.R.S.'s entry into this past year's National Robotics Competition. Nick Ohi, a member of the team for 3 years, explains the physics and engineering behind Marvin's soccer skills.
So you had to grab soccer balls and kick them into goals. The course we play on is a 54-foot long, like half a basketball court basically. So you need to kick these things pretty far. So we use this, for our kicker mechanism, we have a spring and pneumatic piston to provide a whole lot of force to kick the ball.
Okay, we'll get one charging.
And then the other thing of the game that you could get bonus points for was to hang your robot off of a 7-foot tower completely off the ground. This thing weighs about 150 pounds. So the way we did that is we had this scissor lift which would pop up. There's a hook that would be hanging off the end of there. Put that over the edge of the bar, and then we drop this back down, and then this winch would pull it back up, and it would be hanging off of this.
Wow. How would it actually kick the ball?
You look at the front, see there's a red bar right here? Mm-hmm. That's attached to this, and this pulls back really hard, and that flips out and kicks the ball.
Marvin didn't come out the winner of this last year's competition, but Scime knows these kids are all winners. They're learning physics and engineering concepts and putting that into practice, using math and imagination. Scime is modest about his role in developing these kids.
So far, and we're very, very grateful, 100% of our students have gone on to college and 100% have received some sort of scholarship. That's a great figure of merit for us. And you'll find some of our kids will tell you right out that 3 or 4 years ago they thought, well, they might be a lawyer, they might be a doctor, and now they say, oh, I want to be a civil engineer, or I want to be an industrial engineer, or a physicist, or a chemist, or whatever. And we're seeing that, both on the young ladies and the young men, that they realize this stuff's kind of fun.
When Scime's not having fun with his robotics team, he's teaching numerous physics classes at West Virginia University. As chair of the physics department, his responsibilities are vast, running a department with 25 faculty members and helping supervise a transition into a new facility for the physics department in 2011. But he's also passionate about plasmas.
Plasma physics, to a layperson, is a fluorescent light bulb. It's ionized gas that often emits light. More complicated systems, the sun, outer space, thermonuclear fusion, those are all plasmas as well. Plasma physics encompasses physics, electrical engineering. You see plasma physics in both kinds of departments at universities. And it's both a very applied discipline, things like lighting, making computer chips, fusion energy. These things are plasma physics based. And then there's sort of fundamental science, understanding how the sun works, how stars work, how outer space works, and how our outer atmosphere interacts with the plasma trapped in our magnetic fields and interacts with the sun. So plasma physics is a fundamental science with a lot of applications.
Scime recently won a significant research grant, $462,000 from the U.S. Department of Energy, to build a diagnostics tool for magnetically confined fusion experiments.
Well, in my particular area of research, we use lasers a lot as a diagnostic tool, as a way to probe the inside of the plasma, which is too hot to stick a thermometer in. If we want to measure the temperature of 100,000 degree plasma, we can't stick a thermometer in, it would melt. We shine a laser in and actually measure the random velocities of all the particles, and from that we can determine the temperature.
Here, Scime walks us through an experiment studying plasmas that are used to make computer chips.
So the plasma as it comes down here could be accelerated into a wafer of silicon and create trenches that would be filled with copper to make computer chips. That's how a Pentium chip is made. Because it's plasma and it's charged, if the wafer has too many charged particles sitting on its surface, when the charged particle comes down to make that trench, it might get deflected. And so the trenches become wider. So you end up with a limit on how narrow you can make these trenches. And the more trenches you can get, the more transistors you can pack into a chip, and the faster the chip can be.
About 10 students a semester work with Scime in this lab. Most of them are graduate students in physics. Jerry Carr is a PhD student.
I mean, he's vocal, he'll watch how you do things and definitely interject when he needs to. I watch him very closely because in my youth development work I did before I got here, I'm very much attuned with trying to find ways to work with children and bring education to them. So I try to pattern my style off his, but for the most part he judges what he thinks is necessary and delivers.
Other experiments in Scime's lab are studying the surface of the sun and how plasmas can be used to study rocket engines. It's a hectic life for this scientist, but one that seems to suit and reward him.
Being a faculty member, being a research active faculty member is a busy lifestyle, but it's something different every day. And that's something I think as people think about potential careers, if they're interested in science, if you're an active working scientist, every day is going to be different, and it's a lot of fun.
For West Virginia Public Broadcasting, I'm Ben Aduccio in Morgantown.
Support for the Mountain State Science Series comes from the National Science Foundation's experimental program to stimulate competitive research, investing in West Virginia's future by building infrastructure for scientific research. On the web at wvresearch.org.